sort of impressive, but it's sort of not impressive.
What the hell? Okay. I'm not going to act like I'm not a little bit offended.
I've been getting a lot of recommendations on social media to see these interviews with this porn star named Bonnie
Hey,
Blue.
yo, bro's comparing me to a
She's
porn
famous
star?
because she slept with like 1,000 men in a day.
Hey, we don't need to hear about your search history, bruh.
You know, I mean, I just find this kind of, it's like we are an attention economy now. You
guys have a podcast.
You know,
You're talking about attention economy.
Don't see any of those forces kind of
make money off people's attention
until...
also. Hey guys, it's Lincoln Climbs, and today we're reacting to the hate because even though I do get a lot of hate online for my various videos and stunts, we have now received hate from an influential figure, which is why I'm reacting to it. His name is Chris Callis, and he runs the Enormocast podcast, which I used to listen to every day at the gym. So not trying to glaze, but I have seen a lot of the episodes, so I do think that his insight is going to be valuable. The other guy's name is Andrew Bicheret, and he is a senior editor at Rock and Ice magazine. So hopefully they have some insightful things to say. I know they will, and hopefully we can react in a way that brings insight to the conversation. I'm going to try to be mature, but I did just smoke a bowl. So,
you know, I search it on my Instagram and it comes up blank, and so I'm like refreshing it and stuff, and then I look up and I've got it blocked. So at some point, whenever it started to gain popularity and it appeared on my feed, I just blocked it. I was like, this is not my thing. I on a recent bonus episode, I put GoPro.
So I already know that he blocked me. I figured it out when I tried to view his podcast on Instagram, and it low-key hurt my feelings, but it's fine. I mean, GoPro footage is kind of shaky, maybe makes you nauseous. It's fine, but whatever.
And I blocked it. So
yeah.
Anyway, so then I went over to the YouTube channel and sort of glanced at comments and things in preparation for this thing. So I'm a little bit off the back on the depth of what's going on.
I'm a little
confused.
confused.
So you'll have to fill me in.
I also don't follow him. I don't think I do anyway, but I haven't blocked him yet. We're going to talk about something that we're recommending you don't follow and think about and talk about. But yeah, so it is worth talking about because I have seen a lot of little discussions pop up on the internet. Mm-hmm. There's a Mountain Project thread about him, which we can get to.
They haven't even said my name yet.
For anyone who's
they say it later, I think.
Unaware of who this person is, he's a young kid who has been putting out kind of rage. I would call it rage bait, like clickbait, or I don't know, rage bait content. Like it's, in my view, designed to provoke people and get them maybe a little bit angry.
Facts. But that's only some videos. I would say that the day one of free soloing every day was rage bait. I would say that a lot of the early YouTube shorts were rage bait. Some of the recent one, the one I just posted about passing someone while free soloing, is rage bait. But a lot of them are serious. And if you watch the squash truck one or the on-site solo of Time Warp, you can see that it's a lot more serious, which is fair because he doesn't watch the YouTube, so he doesn't really know about how I am actually. He just sees like the clickbait shit on Instagram. But I do think if you watch the actual channel and you listen to me talk, especially like the full 10-minute video, you can kind of see a more real side of the actual soloing. But obviously, since I'm recording it and editing it to be entertaining, you're never going to see what it's actually like. But
a lot of his episodes are, you know, GoPro style footage of him free soloing routes. It's just his kind of cavalier attitude to the whole free soloing project and kind of embrace of this like influencer style of content creation.
That's because I'm trying to make money on Instagram, and you don't get any views if you don't do fast-paced cuts and style. They say that it's clear that I'm just trying to get attention for attention's sake, but I don't think that
I think is triggering a lot of people. And I call it rage bait because I think it's purposeful. And so just this last summer, he started doing this series, which is kind of like this meme that I've seen in a lot of different genres on Instagram, where it's people say something like "day one of me doing X." This genre is a meme. So Lincoln Climbs didn't create this. I don't know where it came from, but
There, they said my
it's a meme
name,
on
so I
Instagram.
know I'm
And
not tripping.
his meme was "day one of me free soloing a harder and harder route until I fall." And so he's doing something that I think is very triggering to a lot of climbers, which is promising them the one that he's going to be pushing his free solo limits, which is already a fraught topic. He's going to be doing it as a spectacle, which is another layer of taboo, I think, in climbing. And there's this interesting kind of layer to it that implicates the viewer in a way as well, because he's inviting you to partake in this spectacle and watch it and continuously watch it, even though you know it's unethical on some level. So those are my kind of three observations. Maybe we could like pull those apart.
So he says that number one, I'm pushing my free solo grades in every level. Two, I'm documenting it and showing it to the world after the fact. And three, I'm implicating the viewer. So I would say that I would be implicating the viewer if it was live. And I have done one live that was live, but I don't think that posting something after the fact is really. Oh, but it is because it's multiple days. Fuck. He hasn't said a lie yet. But
He's obviously still alive.
He's still alive. Yeah. I don't know if that he's still doing that series. I haven't followed it
I
close
am.
enough.
Okay.
I mean, it's all like bullshit in a sense. Like what he's free soloing, sort of impressive, but it's sort of not impressive. But I don't know.
What the hell? It's sort of impressive, sort of not impressive. Okay. I'm not going to act like I'm not a little bit offended. I would say that it's objectively impressive because it's doing something that no one has done before, which I think is an objective achievement. Even a first ascent of a 5.9 can be considered objectively impressive, I think. And because it's the first and no one has done it before. Part of the reason why he doesn't think it's impressive is because of the style that I'm posting it that he disagrees with. But if I was posting it in his style or the way that he thinks that climbers should act, that he would think it's okay. I know it's impressive.
No, it's really just his style. Like all influencer content, it's like this aesthetic component to it that, you know, is purposeful. It speaks to kind of the way that he's knowingly producing things that is really just designed to invite attention for its own sake.
That's any form of media produced.
And so, yeah, so his style of like creating these things is like the videos are like, you know, here's the crux. All right, I don't know if I'm going to do this. And then he like does the crux and then he's like, that was so sick. And
I
then
never
like,
say that I'm not going to do it.
And like is constantly like, you know, filming himself, like talking about how sick he is and how sick this like free solo achievement is that he's doing.
Cap. I never say it's hard. I never mention the difficulty. I just say that this is like, look at this. I said, look at this shit. It's sick. It is. It doesn't have to be me being sick. It's the overall experience of the route.
I find it to be like kind of fascinating just to like consider what it means like for our culture and stuff, but I don't have any kind of genuine affinity for what it is that he's doing, and it doesn't seem that most people do who watch it.
I would say that most people who watch my videos and are followers like it because they're not climbers and they don't really understand. They have a very limited idea of what's happening, which is fine because I have a very limited idea of a lot of the sports that I like kayaking. I just see a sick kayak clip and I'm like, that's sick. But I don't necessarily appreciate the level of danger and risk. I just see something that looks cool and I kind of know what's happening and I'm like, that's cool. That's why free solo is so popular. It's because the audience is not really understanding completely what's happening. They just see something that looks impossible and looks sick. So for him to say that my audience doesn't like me is kind of silly because I think that the majority of my my older climbing audience doesn't like it. But I would say that the majority of the non-climbers.
I looked at the comments, over at YouTube. And I mean, there was, in a sort of brief, glance, there was as much, yeah, bro, sick, bro, kind of thing, as there was there was like you're a fucking dumbass and you're gonna die, to like, hey, people trying to mom him a little bit, like, hey, you really should think about what you're doing, kind of like trying to talk to him, sort of mellow sense of it. And I mean, everything about it, we're these old guys, and we have this paradigm that we came from, where, again, sort of pre-media blitz. Famously, I mean, Peter Croft, that his little scene in Free Solo is where he's trying to talk to Honnold about this kind of publicity thing that he's doing. He's making a film. We just kind of like roll over that, and here we are criticizing this kid who's filming all of his free solos, but we highly praise Mr. Honnold for filming his free solo. What exactly is the difference? But it's like, if Peter Croft was dead, he'd roll over in his grave.
I said that in my squash truck video. I literally mentioned how Peter Croft would not like what I'm doing, and I completely acknowledge that. The difference is that other soloists film their ascents but act like they don't want to, versus or like they're being forced to, or in some way. But I'm the one executing everything, producing, directing. So it's hard for me to act like I don't want to do it, because I obviously do. But so do the other soloists who have their things filmed. They are allowing the filming into the process. Just they're being more nonchalant. They're being more mysterious about it, but they're still agreeing to do it. They aren't putting in as much work as making it happen, because they are way better at soloing than me and can afford to do that. If I was a professional climber, I would also act nonchalant and not make my own videos myself.
You're making it a spectacle for just the sake of
it's like Evel Knievel,
and getting attention on yourself and becoming famous. And I don't know. I feel like that's like, I mean, it's just kind of disgusting.
You and I and every client.
Wouldn't you say that these podcast hosts are putting attention on themselves for the sake of attention to make money? They say it's to make entertainment and provide the climbing community with some knowledge and insight from different people. But couldn't you say that's what I'm doing also to a lesser extent? I'm providing lots of people with entertainment. People are getting outside because of me. They're learning to climb because of me. I'm introducing new people to the sport in a way that they would not have found otherwise if I just posted boring-ass normal soloing content. So I agree with them in a sense that it does feel shocking, and it feels kind of gross to post something that is seemingly so personal. But to a certain extent, soloing 5'9" and doing little bits is not really that personal anymore, because it's literally just 5'9". Like, it's something that a lot of climbers can do in their sleep. But the fact that you do have to put yourself out there mentally, combined with the fact that I'm recording a video, is definitely confusing to a lot of soloists, and it makes sense. He keeps calling me attention seeking. Posting on social media is inherently inviting people to give you attention, seeking attention. Posting a podcast, same shit. However, the question is, would I still do the same goal if I wasn't on social media and if I just had money and I didn't have to do social media? Which is what all climbers have to do, by the way. They have to post on social media or win competitions to get money, okay? If I didn't have to do that, would I still climb these things? Yes. I literally 1 year ago told my friend that I wanted to climb squash track free solo. He was like, no, you fucking don't. Blah, 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 you can't do that. I did it. Okay, I completed my dream, And if you're going to watch the squash stroke video and tell me that wasn't my dream and that I wouldn't have done it with the cameras all around, you're actually losing your mind.
Because this is going against all those sorts of old school rules about how you conducted yourself when you didn't have a rope on. But I mean,
Totally.
I think, yeah. But also, I kind of think about how when Free Solo came out, the movie, there was all these pieces, mostly outside of climbing, about how this was going to encourage this practice and encourage some dumbass to go try to free solo a cap. And you and I sort of, laughed that off as absurd. And yet I think this guy is definitely, if not directly, at least a product of a culture that the seed of which I think is free solo.
On mountain.
So am I a product of free solo? So I first saw free solo when I was like 13. I started soloing when I was like 15, but I watched The Alpinist, I watched Free Solo, I watched all the soloing movies. I watched Safety Third. I'm inspired by Free Solo the same way that Alex Honnold was inspired by a poster of Peter Croft in his gym. It's not like, it's a wider audience that Free Solo has, more than that poster, but it's still the same type of acknowledgement. It's not like, because of the movie I got into climbing, or it's not like because of the movie I just randomly decided to solo. The movie got me into climbing, as it did hella people. And then from climbing, I got into soloing separately. And now I'm looking back and being like, damn, like that shit is sick. But like a year ago, I couldn't even comprehend any of the stuff that was happening, soloing wise.
Project, there was I actually just looked and it looked like it's gotten taken down, but there was a thread about the basically people betting odds.
Mountain Project is not only so toxic, so weird, but there was literally like 10 posts like talking about my sexuality, if I was gay or not. And this one dude was like, the only reason people hate him is because he's gay. On Mountain Project. And so can you really give that shit any credibility? Look at Mountain Project. Tell me one forum that is like actually good. Because every forum I try to go on it's like Reddit.
And I just looked at Lincoln's account and he appears to have abandoned this this little, meme gimmicky thing about.
It's not a meme. It's not a gimmick. The only part that's a gimmick is the until I fall part. But free soloing a harder grade over time is not a gimmick. It's what all hard soloists do. They slowly improve their soloing grade. So wanting to document that in an entertaining way is not inherently bad.
Free soloing a harder and harder route until he falls. So that's at least good. I think he made it to day 13. From what
Day 14 is coming.
The brief research I just did. So, but I think it was never meant to be serious. Like it's all just meant to like get attention, and that's exactly what he's doing. And then
it's meant to get attention as a side effect of my main goal, which is to solo cooler things. So if my goal is to solo squash stroke and I've only soloed 5'9", obviously I'm going to have to go up to 5'11" in order to solo that goal. So how is improving your grade a gimmick or just for attention if that's my actual goal? Just because I post on social media as a side effect to make money and allow me to sustain myself as a climber.
The Honnold thing, again, like we had this whole big discussion in a recent bonus episode about what an influencer is, and the idea that there is no difference between what Alex Honnold is doing and what this guy is doing is, I think, a bad argument. And I don't know how to articulate what that difference is exactly. And so maybe it's not as bad as I'm thinking it is, but to me, it just seems like it's clearly the case of you know it when you see it. And, I think there is a difference.
So we're letting this magazine writer, who I'm assuming has never soloed, maybe he has. I know Chris has because he's the GOAT, decide what soloing is valid and what soloing media is valid. Okay.
It is. I probably need to think about that a little bit more. But to deny that there is a difference between how Honnold, has approached his free soloing career, where he's been selective in terms of how the media around what he's done has been created.
I'm being selective as well. I'm choosing a completely different path than any other soloist, but it's on my own terms still. It's literally day by day on my own terms, and I can change anytime I want. If I suddenly get enough money to stop, I could just stop completely.
Actually, with the exception of El Cap, he would often return in the aftermath after already free soloing the route, like with Moonlight Buttress and Astroman and a lot of his early stuff. That was all recreated. Like he did soloed those routes twice, or soloed on them twice, and so that was, I think, a difference there. I don't know why that's a difference, but maybe you have any idea.
Content and influencerism and, always having to kind of up the game. I mean,
having to up the game is only a product of social media because it's a product of human psychology. And I think that any movie where something revolutionary happens or a documentary where something new happens, they're also trying to up the game. It's not just social media. It's all media in general. But yeah, I would say that me soloing with Josh is more like Honnold soloing with Magnus, meant to be entertainment. It's fun for us. It's fun for the audience, and it's not that serious. But some of the longer form videos where I'm actually trying to do something that is hard, I would say are closer to an actual movie. But they're not that good yet, but soon.
A little more akin to this than necessarily something is thought out and is practiced, or not as thought out and it is done the same way like some of Alex's previous videos worked. But that felt...
What? So he's saying my soloing isn't thought out as Alex's videos.
Let's go at least pretend that Magnus Mippo is freaking out. Maybe he really was. Yeah, which is the other thing I'm having, like, and I have no basis for this. But
yeah, I would agree. In the first week or maybe, first week of the day, free soloing a harder route every day thing, I would say that my emotions were amped up just like Magnus's were because it's more entertaining. And Josh's emotions were definitely amped up in our most recent video, but most of the recent YouTube long form videos where it's just me are not really amplified. That's just how the experience was, and I try to make it compressed and entertaining and take like the most entertaining moments out.
To more and more kind of bullshitty, outrageous content, this is just like going another step past what we consider sort of the decorum of...
Something being outrageous doesn't make it bullshitty unless it's fake. If it's real and it's outrageous, doesn't that just mean it's impressive and that we're pushing the sport forward? But I don't think it's really that outrageous also. It's only like 511B, so...
I mean, I don't have anything to say about him personally, whatever. It's working because he's breaking all these sort of decorum rules.
Yeah.
And, and it's funny, and it's also gallows humor to have this over-under on when he's going to die.
Right.
For the moment because he's still alive. But, I mean, there's sort of this previous example of it, who wasn't quite this outrageous, but was posting, videos of his free solos and putting it on Instagram and sort of promoting himself through this guy, Austin Howell. Though it wasn't GoPro footage, he would often set up a tripod and but he died.
Bro hates GoPro footage.
Talking about how he was free soloing near or at his limit, which is also...
I'm not even close to my limit. This
is not like just speculation that there's a pretty high probability that this kid fucks up and dies. It's out there.
Yeah, and maybe that's why that thread got deleted.
Got deleted because there were random ass things going on that no one wanted to see. Bro, That, and it was so unhinged and so weird.
But yeah, I mean, I just find this kind of, attention seeking behavior for the sake of attention. Like there's no other purpose to it other than that.
Posting a video is attention seeking no matter what is going on in the video. Doing something for a video is different than posting a video after doing something that you already wanted to do. However, there are videos on my channel and this channel that I wouldn't have wanted to do if they weren't filmed because, or maybe wouldn't want to is a bad way to say it, because I would have wanted to do them. I just wouldn't have done them because it wouldn't be worth it. Soloing a 510B with a joint would be sick to do on my own, but it's like, it's kind of feels unnecessary. I've already soloed that 510, right? Like I know I could do it with the joint. But it being a video makes it funny because I'm sharing with my friends, I'm sharing with everyone, and it makes me money. So of course it's more worth it to share. I have a question. Would these two people have had this podcast and had as in-depth of a discussion about any of these episodes if they weren't being paid to do so, or if they weren't sharing it with the world? Sharing it with the world is not inherently bad.
Like, I don't know why, but I've been getting a lot of recommendations on social media to see these interviews with this porn star named Bonnie
Hey,
Blue,
yo.
I think.
Bro's comparing me to
She's
a porn
famous
star?
because she slept with like 1,000 men in a day.
Hey, we don't need to
like
hear
that.
about your search history,
And,
bruh.
filmed it, and it was on her OnlyFans. And, she's making like, I don't know, $100 million a month or something doing these kinds of like grotesque stunts that are designed to trigger people. They're for, and anyway,
So if Bonnie Blue is a sex rage baiter and I'm a free solo rage baiter, that's pretty fire, honestly. But the question is, would Bonnie Blue still have sex with 1,000 dudes if she wasn't getting paid? Maybe she just likes it. Like, I like free soloing and I free solo off camera, but would Bonnie Blue do that stuff off camera?
just like been interested in that. I've read a few pieces about who she is on like Vice and other outlets like that have covered
Vice.
this topic, and I just find
Hella
it to be a very
reliable.
similar, just a similar theme there. Like it's this, you're taking something that is like has this like sacred component, or should have this kind of sacredness to it, like climbing or free soloing or life itself. Not putting your life in.
He's saying that climbing should have an inherently sacred component. Free soloing especially so because it endangers your life. But what is sacred about X Games skiers flipping 1,000 feet in the air where if they land on their neck, they die? Nothing is sacred about any form of extreme sport, no matter how much climbers think that it is.
Trying to downplay this idea that we're like adrenaline junkies, or we have this death wish, or we, all these sorts of things. And then we get into all the sort of platitudes about it's the risk makes us feel more alive. It's a live sport and all this shit. But this, this does like lend credence to that. No, it's all just this thrill sport. That's his vibe, is when he sends something like he's all fucking,
Because that's what people think climbing is, and I'm playing into that for the sake of the non-climbing audience. If your whole audience is only climbers sometimes are low-key insufferable and really annoying. Maybe it's just because I'm purposefully making them mad, but you can admit that the climbing community is not always necessarily the nicest, and it is better to have a bigger audience, especially for the goal of growing on social media.
He's all overwhelmed, stoked, and again going against this like Honold and Peter Croft idea that if you get scared, then you fucked up. That's both.
He's implying that if I get stoked when I finish something, that means I was scared when I was doing it. But I don't think that's really true at all. You can be stoked about, stoke comes without fear. Maybe fear is part of it, but inherent adrenaline gives you stoke, and you can't reduce the amount of I don't know. I wouldn't say I ever felt any fear on any of the ascents that I've posted, except Super Crack of Denver, because it's slippery and scary.
Those guys have been on record about, like, that's how, if you're up there desperate, thinking you're going to die,
I'm not desperate.
Blown it.
And I'm not thinking I'm going to die.
And, you know, but also the spectators, whoever is on here, like, you know, sort of encouraging this kid, you're also just falling into that. Like, you're here for the thrills, and that's it. And you know, and again, we're old fuddy-duddies, so we have this, like, we want this climbing, not just climbing, but free soloing. It's cliche, but to have this, like, spiritual component, this do it for yourself component, this like Vision Quest component, which is also probably bullshit. And so we're like succumbing to this other cliche of climbing. We're out there, like, for, you know, we're all Buddha out there trying to find enlightenment, you know, through risk.
It's all just not that deep at all.
Just kind of hampered by these mythologies that we tell ourselves as well.
I mean, I think that there is at least
facts. Climbers who say that free soloing is spiritual or say that it is inherently, like, connecting you to the earth are just bullshitting themselves. Like, obviously you can make it that, but it's not inherent at all. It's all about what you are thinking when you're doing it. It can obviously get you closer to death. It can get you closer to thinking about your future, but it's all mental. If you don't want it to do that, then it doesn't have to. It's not inherent in the sport. Soloing is so powerful that you can take it as many ways as you want, and you can glean from it whatever you want. Like, people take shrooms to seek enlightenment, and people take shrooms to have fun at a party. That doesn't make shrooms inherently any way. It's versatile. Free soloing is way better than shrooms. Don't do drugs.
I mean, there's integrity, even if that's partly a myth or a bit of a lie or not quite the whole truth. You know, there's at least integrity in saying that.
No, there's
I'm
not.
doing this for myself and for my own kind of my path to self-improvement and self-understanding. And
if your path to self-improvement is involved in soloing, that's good. And I would say soloing has improved me. Me trying to make money at the same time as soloing, as long as I'm doing the soloing first and the money second, is not inherently bad. I've said that hella though. I'd be yapping. My bad.
Knowledge, whereas I'm just doing this because it's going to make me more and more famous. I don't know. I think that there's a difference.
That's not why I'm doing it.
It's not.
That's why I'm posting.
You know, the pure vision quest that you'd like to make it out to be. I don't know.
I mean, the kid has a Patreon.
Yeah, does he?
You know, it's right on
Patreon
the front of the
supporters.
page. You know, it's like, so which is an interesting thing, because if you're giving him $5 a month and he goes off and craters, like, what are you gonna do with that kind of, like, attitude? It's like, you know, if he was like, I'm gonna do a bigger fucking bump of cocaine, you know, every day for a month.
This dude
that's my meme. I'm just gonna do, like, more and more coke until my fucking heart explodes. You know, would you, like, throw $5?
I'd throw $5 on that.
I don't know. No, it's like, but it kind of, you know, if he had been serious about that, which clearly he wasn't, and that's why I'm
still
just like,
going.
Okay, what else is being manipulated on this sort of quest for fame and money? Yeah, it's just kind of
just money.
It's like it's a moral conundrum that is will only sort of meet the crucible if he falls.
Yeah. And he's I mean, some of the other content I've seen from him has all been like, it's all had this kind of rage baity, clickbaity, you know, kind of provocateur quality to it. Like he got kicked out of his local gym for drinking, and he made a whole video about him and his friends, like, you know,
he watched it,
basically polishing off, from what I could tell, like a whole huge bottle of vodka or something like that, while they were moonboarding and trying
to boarding,
do progressively harder moonboards. And, you know, by the end of the video, he's fucking wasted and still climbing like V8 or 9 or something.
I was like not wasted.
Which, you know, is impressive, I guess. And you know, like that kind of.
He said the free soloing is not impressive, bro. Bro has not seen the 10D onside solo. But he thinks that climbing V8 on a kilter board while 7 shots deep is impressive, bro. That is not impressive. The amount of mental strength that it takes to free solo on site is so much more than the amount of physical strength that it takes to kilter board V8. But that's hilarious that he watched the video. I wonder what Chris is going to say.
Stuff, I can excuse that, like, because that's just immature, fun kind of behavior. And
W.
It's a little harmless too, so long as you don't kill yourself from drinking too much booze. You probably you get a bad
7
hangover the
shots.
next day, and then you can't go to your gym anymore. You have to find a new gym to go to. So like, what's the real harm? So, that was like one of his earlier videos. And then it's just kind of some
was
of them
not
have
that
seemed
early.
to take on this more. I think he's got a real sense for what is going to drive people to look at him. And he's laying into that. And he's obviously, got a gift to free solo, which I certainly don't have. I hate climbing ropeless.
I earned this shit.
I'm not a brave climber on that sense. But he's got that, ability to climb without a rope. And I think he's just laying into that and kind of milking it for the sake of attention. I mean, for
money.
Attention, maybe money. I like some of his other videos have been like one of his most recent ones was like, I just free soloed the longest sport climb in America, but I'm still not sponsored. So I'm doing this now to try to make money. He's really tweaking people in an interesting way. Like he's just tweaking our sensibilities about what we kind of, value and pay attention.
I think part of the thing that makes the videos popular is that they're so different and so juxtaposed from any other climbing content that's ever been made. Because climbers are traditionally just so like very ethical and very strict and very moral. And I think that it's just such a polar opposite that's what is not only shocking, but is drawing, because climbing is so sick, but you never see some fucking sick ass shit going down because the people never want to post it in a cool way.
Attention to and just kind of respect. Yeah, you mentioned that you saw like positive comments and stuff, and people are supporting him on Patreon, and but yeah, so make of that what you will.
I mean, maybe it's like Kaufman-esque performance art, like Andy Kaufman or like famous characters, like you went on,
Yeah, I think that there's, I mean, like you can step out of character if you're Andy Kaufman, if you really need to. Like, I think it's a little darker now. Like, and I think this is not just true of this guy, but of everyone.
They're saying that like me being in a video and always constantly having a camera on me turns me into a different human being, which could be true, but it's definitely not to the extent that they're suggesting, because I'm pretty much the exact same as I was. I'm not acting like super energetic and super loud and like that all the time. It's only when I'm in the video. And I do think it's definitely able to be turned off, and that if these guys met me in person or had me on their podcast instead of talking about me, that maybe they would understand. Tight shit.
In your gut, what's the end game with this? Like, he's not going to get sponsored. There's no company that will.
Black Diamond liked my Instagram post.
No way.
Yeah.
Cliff Bar famously dropped Honnold.
I already have a chalk sponsor.
Want the PR problem of
do you
remember that?
It seems so archaic now.
I know, but you remember that?
Yeah,
because
totally.
They didn't want the possible PR problem of like, hey, we encourage this guy to go free solo, and now he's dead. Buy and eat Cliff Bar. So anyway, but like, I don't think anybody's gonna touch him. So it just feels.
Oh, they're gonna touch me, all right.
It either has to change, or it just kind of gets boring and dies out.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, could very well happen. It's like
you just get bored.
If it's gonna get boring and die out, then every climbing media account would have been boring and died out, because it's not interesting at all. It's literally just videos of people climbing with, I mean, sometimes they're cool, but like sometimes you can't even see what's happening. Like I wish that low-key more influencers did sick shit so that I could actually watch entertaining content and understand what was happening.
Bored with that?
Jerky GoPro footage of free soloing, 5, 10, and 11
Ouch.
can get boring.
5,
sure,
12
eventually. Or he died.
That's the thing. It doesn't. People literally watch that one video of that dude soloing the 5.7 like so much because soloing is insane, especially to a non-climbing audience.
Dies. Like,
Right.
Where does it run? Where does it go?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you're right that people might get bored and move on. And I worry about that scenario because I think that might be impetus for him to try to level up the engagement to get that dopamine hit of more eyeballs and attention and, comments that are good and bad. Or he gets bored and, moves on to something else, which, I think is probably the most peaceful resolution here. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's just this isn't just a problem with him. This is everywhere in our culture. It's like we are an attention economy now. And, he who
You guys
controls
have a
attention,
podcast.
has the
You
keys
literally have a
to,
podcast.
power and wealth and stuff. And so
You're talking about attention
I just
economy.
don't see any
You
of those forces kind of
make money
shifting
off people's
anytime soon
attention also.
unless, like social media gets just shut down.
So if we're gonna get in on this, as best we
Exactly.
can,
How do we get some of these rage bait
how do we get
bugs?
some of this sweet attention? What would our I'm gonna do this every day until this happens?
Oh, yeah.
Rage bait thing be?
Hopefully it's not release a new podcast episode every day.
Low key, that was fine. I do think that Chris had some good points, but I also do think that he does not fuck with me. I would love to be on the podcast, but that's probably not going to happen until I do something way sicker. Basically, my overall thoughts are like Chris Callis. I like the podcast. I do think that sometimes they're a little bit too harsh, but old heads will do that, bruh. Old heads will do that. And my feelings aren't hurt. I've heard all of these things before. Unfortunately, I thought they would have some new stuff. I thought the bouldering thing was funny that he liked that. And yeah, hopefully they can see some of my more serious content with this channel. But I would love to come on the pod. And that's all I have to say. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. We're headed out.